Good Wednesday morning. Wake up, Charlotte to go. Larry Sprinkle on with Brittany Van Voorhees on a very messy morning. A lot of traffic issues, a lot of problems out there this morning. All that from a big storm system that's tracking into the area, bringing a lot of very heavy rainfall. We'll take a look and show you what's happening right now in the mountains. This is our camera at Blowing Rock. I know you look at that, you go, what is happening there? Well, tell you what, temperature's about 32 degrees, getting some rain. Rain's freezing on the lens there, so freezing rain up there in the North Carolina mountains. And we'll take a look at our 4-camera view here locally and show you what's happening across the area. Brittany, some drops on the lens. Got the rain moving in, right? Yeah, it looks like the light rain, maybe a few moderate spots ahead of really the main line, which comes in later on this morning. I know you've been saying it a lot, Larry, but like 9 to 1 kind of looks like the time frame of some of those stronger storms. Sure does. You know, when these storm systems, they take their own time. Now, yesterday morning, we're talking about potential for, actually, we did mention the morning drive, but it came in just a little bit slower, but still, we do have a lot of rainfall out there. Light to moderate rainfall moving northeast up towards Greensboro. Then another band of showers coming out of the upstate around Greenwood down there towards Greenville, Spartanburg. That's moving in our direction and headed our way. There's a little bit of cloud to ground lightning over there in the upstate of South Carolina. Yeah, and I think that will be a risk even as it gets closer to our area because our high today, I think you have around 60, Larry. That'll be enough moisture, we know, to see some frequent lightning. So heavy rain, gusty wind, lightning looks to be some of those top 3 threats, I would say. Absolutely, and a lot of very heavy rain. If you got travel plans down Interstate 85 heading towards Atlanta, Georgia, I-75, you're going to encounter some very heavy rainfall. And then notice the little area of pink up there, Brittany. That's that freezing rain up there around Ashe, Avery, Watauga counties in the North Carolina northern mountains. Yeah, and that's part of the problem. Freezing rain, the wintry precipitation, that's the most impactful. You mentioned, of course, it's 32, so boom, it freezes on all those elevated surfaces. Bridges, overpasses can cause issues now, but again overnight because we won't see a lot of sun. So if that doesn't evaporate, then that means another chance for a little bit of black ice tomorrow morning. And for us locally, it's just the heavy rain. Then there's some severe weather being reported this morning. The Panama City area all morning long, they've had several tornado warnings, and that is a massive, that area of yellow, look at that. That is one giant severe thunderstorm warning covering a lot of territory from southeastern Alabama all the way down to the panhandle of Florida this morning. Yeah, that's a squall line for sure. An area of some strong storms. You said what, Panama City all the way up toward it looks like the North Carolina mountains at this point, starting to see some of those pockets of heavier rain. Heavy rainfall in the forecast. It's interesting because a wide array of high temperatures today. We're going to be wedged in that Carolina wedge today. I wouldn't be surprised, and we're saying in the mid 40s in the mountains, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't get much out of the upper 30s, maybe high temperatures there. But it's really, I would say 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s across the area. Warmer temperatures down in places like Cheraw and Rockingham there in the Sandhills in the Midlands of South Carolina. Yeah, they won't see the rain till so much later on than the rest of the area. That close to 70. Look at that in Cheraw. Yeah, so very typical cold air damming situation when you have a cold front coming in, kind of like that mid-morning time frame. Absolutely. And then the heavier rainfall this morning. I would say the range anywhere from about an inch to a couple inches of rain in some spots, right? I mean, the heavy rain, I mean, what we've seen so far, you know, in places like you mentioned, Georgia, South Carolina, we've seen such heavy rain that it can accumulate pretty quickly. The one positive that will come out of this, hopefully for especially the eastern Carolinas, they have a really notable drought situation, more so than us here locally. So you don't want the storms, but the rain should be at least slightly beneficial for those folks. Yeah, good point right there about the drought situation over there. As far as the severe weather risk, yesterday it did look like we could be within that in the Charlotte area, but it shifted more off to the east and the southeast. That area of yellow right there, and that would include places like Cheraw, Chesterfield, over towards Pageland, Southern Pines, Wadesboro, and Rockingham. And that means there is a potential for a few storms, but southeast of there, quite a bit of heavy storm activity is possible, right?
Yeah, we have that low risk in yellow you mentioned, but the orange that you kind of see from pretty much what that little sliver of Chesterfield County is in east, that's the medium risk, so a better chance of a quick spin-up tornado, more damaging wind possibilities, but they're also expecting the heaviest pockets of rain.
And you mentioned that when you get to a 15%, I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you get in that range, that means, yeah, they could definitely see some gusty winds with the storms moving through there.
Yeah, people always say 15%, you know, or 5%, but essentially what it means is 5% is 5 times more likely than a normal day. So 15% is 15 times more likely than a regular day. So
that is a decent chance of that. That's the risky situation with high winds there. In addition, we're talking about the potential for some of those spin-up tornadoes. Once again, it's the same with the percentages. It looks low, but when you talk about 5%, that's 5 times more than would be for average.
Yeah, we know these storms, that strong storm systems that come through in January can cause this quick spin up, like the EF0 2 weeks ago in Gaston County. So we'll keeping a close eye on it. We're thankful that our area is mostly in that 2% if you have to be in one at all. But 5%, I mean, 5 times more likely than a regular
that's all the way from parts of Chesterfield County all the way to the Carolina coastline. Our timeline today, and once again, as far as high temperatures, it really is, we're going to see this wedge, we're going to see almost like the typical Carolina wedge that we see this time of the year, and temperatures are going to be all over the place. So there's a fine line between whether you're going to be in the 40s and 50s. So I would say at least in the Charlotte area to the east and southeast, the warmer temperatures will be in the mid to upper 50s. Look at that rain. You're talking about the rain chances out there today, the time frame of that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say the worst time frame just because we are thankful that it kind of missed most of the morning commute, but people heading out on, you know, midday lunch breaks, things like that, if you don't have to be driving, maybe a good idea not to do so. 9 to 1 really looks like kind of the timing of the heaviest rain. That's mostly for the Charlotte metro, but that doesn't mean it couldn't start a little bit earlier for areas northwest all the way to the mountains or later southeast. And you mentioned, Larry, the wedge. I mean, you were saying upper 30s possible for the mountains, but you saw that 67 in Chirac. That could be a 30-degree temperature difference from the high country down
within
to
about,
the sandhills.
about 150, 200-mile range right there. So that's certainly a possibility. We've seen it before. It could happen again. Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Today is a weather-aware day. We're mainly talking about those areas east and south, east of Charlotte. This will be actually the warmest day of the next 7, theoretically. I mean, you know, we're on the fine line. I mean, there may be many areas that only make it in the low 50s. Friday, 47 degrees. That's the high temperature. That's cold.
That is cold, but at least it's sunny.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would rather be sunny and 47 than cloudy and cool and 47.
No doubt about it. We end the weekend with some rain possible on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of next week. So we'll be here throughout the day to keep an eye on the sky. So once again, you got travel plans, but that time frame, say 9 to 1, some of the heaviest rainfall this morning. Yeah, avoid it if you can. We've already seen a lot of active traffic on the roadways. And of course, we'll have an update throughout the Today Show, 7:56, 8:26, and again at 8:56. Yeah, that's it from us here at WCNC Charlotte. Have a great day and stay weather aware.